Welcome back to Elevation 44. It's your girl B. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, family. Today we are diving into the Aries full moon happening on October 9th, okay? And this moon is happening at 16 degrees. And 16 in numerology boils down to the number 7. Now, numerology can be a powerful tool in conjunction with astrology to just bring you deeper level insights into the energies at hand and what is going on. So when we look at the degrees, we're looking at it from the numerology aspect, and 16 boils down to the number 7, okay? And 7 is about wisdom, okay? And what is wisdom? Wisdom is knowledge applied. What have you learned, and now how do you apply that knowledge, okay? So that's where wisdom comes in. 7 is a very spiritual number. 7 is also a very assertive number, and the Aries full moon and Aries moon energy is all about assertion. It's all about initiation, starting, taking risks, jumping in, diving in, courage, getting the ball rolling, all of those things, right? And it gives us that boost that we need, right? Especially in terms of our emotions, because the moon is about our inner needs. It's about our emotional world. It's about what we need internally, that inner security, that emotional security. So when we talk about that boost, we're talking about it through that lens of all of our inner needs, our inner world coming into major focus. Full moons are a time where there's an opposition happening, right? You have the sun, which is always in the polar opposite energy of where the moon is. So if the moon is in Aries this time, the sun is in Libra, because those are polar opposite energies. And those polarities are there to highlight what needs to come into balance. Aries is all about the self, the individual. Libra is also always about others, outside of self, how we relate to other people. So the balance at the time of the Aries full moon during Libra season, when the sun is in Libra, is always going to be about that, the individual versus others. Anytime the moon is in a fire sign, we're always going to feel that spark. We're always going to feel that whoosh, that fire being lit under us to tackle a lot of the inner issues that are plaguing us and kind of holding us back from having balance in our lives, okay? So like I said, Aries is all about that action, it's intensity. It can be explosive, especially when it comes to something as sensitive as our emotions or our inner world. If we don't use the energy properly, it can be explosive. It can lead to anger, emotional outbursts, a lot of things that is just like that quick pop-off energy. And if you know an Aries moon, okay, gang, Aries moon, where you guys at? It's like that quick explosive pop-off followed by a really, really fast cool down. So in order to temper that out, we just have to keep in mind that, we want to use the energy for things like lighting that fire under us to tackle inner emotional issues, not to, attack others on the outside of us, all right? We might be even feeling this even more because Jupiter is also in the sign of Aries, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion, okay? So it expands whatever energy is present. So if it's already hot, it's going to make it hotter. If it's cold, it's going to make it colder. If it's big, it's going to make it bigger and brighter, So Jupiter does that to anything that it touches. So we might feel the energy even more intensely, even, more. But I think this is a good time for us to use this energy to dive into a lot of things that we're dealing with internally, especially since we just got out of retrograde, Mercury retrograde, which was in Libra, it retrograded in Libra back into Virgo, which really highlighted a lot about our relationships. So relationships are definitely the theme that is still running through. So what did we learn during that time? Because Mercury took us back in order for us to get more clear thinking on how we communicate, how we process around our relationships of all kinds, okay? So what did we learn? And now are we ready to apply that wisdom piece, okay? Also, Pluto retrograde is over, and that is also about our personal power. Like, where did we, identify the places that we are giving our personal power away, or we are overcompensating in that aspect. So what did we learn through that process? And this is also a time where we can apply it to our relationships as well. So there are a couple of things that I will definitely pay attention to in terms of the aspects, which are the conversations that the planets are having with each other during the time of this Aries full moon, because they're going to help us dive into specific areas of where we should be focusing on in order to bring in balance, to, just kind of move forward. You know what I'm saying? This is about moving forward in a lot of ways. So the first thing that's going to be happening, and before I dive into that, I will say, because I know I'm going to get this question, if you want to work with this Aries full moon energy, you don't have to just work with it only on the 9th, which is the day that the full moon happens. You have 2 days prior and 2 days after that actual full moon in order to work with this energy. So there's a 5-day time span. So if you're looking to get clear on any of these issues and dive into it, do rituals around it, do healing, release work, anything, you have that 5-day window. So don't feel stressed or panicked like, oh my gosh, I have to do it on the day of the full moon or it doesn't happen. No, you're good. So just relax. Okay, so diving into the aspects. The first is the moon is going to be conjunct Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer, and it's been sitting in the sign of Aries for a minute now, kind of shedding light on all of our deepest insecurities, our self-identity wounds, a lot of the wounds that were formed in our primitive years in the beginning, right, that we're carrying. So there's a lot there that is coming into focus, especially emotional issues, because the moon is about our emotions. It's about our inner world, the world that we keep private and hidden and secretive, but it's what allows us to build intimacy with other people in relationships and allows for that connection. So if there are things there that are broken, severed, or like needing mending, these are the things that are preventing you from moving forward in relationships in a healthy manner, okay? And again, this is not just romantic relationships, this is all relationships, okay? So our emotional wounds come into focus, and this is a great time for self-reflection on those things because those deep inner wounds will be coming up. The second thing is that the moon is going to be opposite or having opposition with Venus, which is sitting in Libra, okay? Venus is about our love, it's about our values, our self-worth, you know, different things. But here, our relationship imbalances are coming into focus, okay? So how do we compromise our needs and our values for the sake of connecting or having another? You know what I'm saying? Or being in a relationship, or how are we compromising ourselves through that process? So those relationship imbalances, even though that review started during Mercury retrograde, it's like, okay, now we're ready to apply that, all right? So also, how are you projecting your emotions onto others? Those deep inner wounds, the emotional wounds that you're carrying, how are they playing out in your relationships today? Are you projecting that emotionally onto other people? You know, that's another thing that's, you know, you're gonna have to pay attention to. Also, this increases our desire for love and affection no matter what. Again, back to that compromising our values, our needs, just so that we can feel connected to another person. Is that true? Like, are they really showing you real love and affection, or are you confusing that with attention that they give you? Is it really translating to real love, right? Or real affection? So these are things that you're going to have a chance to really get clear on during this Aries moon and to make changes on, okay? And it also helps us see where do we substitute. So when we're compromising our own needs, our values, right, we end up like substituting or over, I would say, doing the most in another department in order to bring in that balance that we're seeking. So sometimes that can look like, what are we diving into? What vices, right, are coming up for us because we're using that because we're not getting what we need in another way. So are we overindulging in food, pleasurable things, spending money, doing different things like that because we're overcompensating for an area that we feel like we're lacking in because we're compromising our needs in that process, okay? So all of that with this opposition with the moon and Venus is coming into play. The third thing that I would pay attention to with this Aries moon is that it'll be square or having tension with Black Moon Lilith, which is in the sign of Cancer. And this can be a very challenging placement because Black Moon Lilith is like, it's like the others. I love Black Moon Lilith's energy because it is that raw energy. This is who I am. I will not be controlled. You are not going to tell me what to do type of energy. I love to see it as like the feminine version of Pluto. But Black Moon Lilith can get extreme, okay? Can rebel, burn the house down for the sake of it, just because you told me otherwise, right? So this challenge with the moon and Black Moon Lilith, a lot of our insecurities and our deep fears are coming forth during this time, which can set us off in the wrong way if we're not careful, okay? So all kinds of deeply buried emotional issues in your relationships, specifically because it's sitting in the sign of Cancer, relationships with other women, okay? This really speaks a lot to mother wounds, but just also just feminine, like just any of that feminine energy that needs healing, deeply emotional, like things that are coming through in that manner. Any relationships with other women that have been toxic, that have been instrumental in some of these deep wounds that you're carrying. So vulnerability, security, those types of themes are coming up. Like, how are these playing out today? Like, you know, your ability to be vulnerable, your ability to have emotional security. How are these playing out because of maybe some of these issues that you're, you know, holding on to that need to be released, okay? The fourth thing and the last thing that I would pay attention to aspect-wise is that the moon is going to be sextile, having an ease of communication with Saturn and Mars. So this gives us an advantage, gives us an opportunity, right? So the opportunity here is that, number one, we're getting the drive, the initiative, the courage to really get the ball going and to dive into these things, where we would feel more hesitant and wanting to, like, you know, not do that. Like, we're feeling like, you know, it's uncomfortable for me. I don't want to go there. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to, like, we're feeling like, nah, like, I want to dive into this. I want to, you know, get rid of this thing that I'm carrying, or heal this issue, or move forward in this type of way. So we really have the courage to take a lead on, you know, really more so not even just in our relationships, but like the true intimacy that is required to connect with other people. And it gives us the emotional maturity to tackle those serious issues that we need to deal with. The ones with ourselves, the ones with others, those conversations that we need to have. It really helps us, like, have the maturity to dive in so that we're not so all over the place, volatile in an emotional way. Like, we can just, you know what I'm saying? We can just temper out, smooth out, and tackle these things, okay? So those are the aspects, the conversations, the energy that's coming through for this Aries moon. So there's a lot of work to be done with this Aries moon, but we can do it. We have the energy, we have the fire, we have the drive, the determination to tackle these things, to release these things once and for all. And this Aries moon is happening the day before the 1010 portal, okay? And the 1010 portal always speaks about releasing, like, closure to start a new beginning. And the rituals I would definitely do are fire rituals, first of all, because it's a fire moon. So one I would do for releasing is definitely burning, writing things down that you want to have closure on, release, heal, whatever. Burning that up in the fire. Start a bonfire outside safely, start a fire somewhere safely, and write your things out and burn it, release it, transmute that energy, okay? Call forth what you need in the process of healing and stuff like that so that you can move forward in a good direction. The second thing that I would recommend fire ritual wise is candle magic. I love candle magic. I stand by candle magic. It has worked for me time and time and time again. I always talk about candle magic. I have a whole video talking about it, so I'll link that down in the description box below. But candle magic, definitely work with fire, with a fire moon. Especially Aries. I'm always gonna recommend it, okay? So burn, release ritual, and candle magic, okay? So then the two things I would recommend herb and crystal wise, the first is working with basil. That's the herb, and then also the crystal carnelian, all right? So this is gonna help you along that new beginning, okay? And just have the initiative to really take the courage and leap in, because this is the time. The time is now. It's time. It's time for us. It is time. All right, so Aries gang, Aries moon gang. I love y'all. We Aries moons are special people. We are special people. Listen, we are special people. But if you have an Aries moon, leave your, Aries moon sign, whatever, everything down below. If you are Aries Sun, if you are Aries and Jupiter, if you are Aries Saturn, whatever your Aries placement, Mars, Aries, whatever, leave it down below. I would love to see it. We'd love to shout you out. And I hope that you have a good Aries moon. I hope that this helps you release whatever you need to release, because there is so much waiting on the other side for us once we are getting out of our own way, okay? Have a great full moon, not new moon. Have a great full moon. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.